Today's hearing focuses on several pieces of legislation that aim to enhance rural economies and improve federal land management. From outdoor recreation to mining and timber harvesting, our federal lands offer significant potential for economic development. However, for decades, this potential has been hampered by poor federal land management that limits multiple use and leaves rural communities struggling to survive. This is particularly true in counties and states where the federal government is the primary landowner. I represent many of these counties in northern Wisconsin, including Forest County. A historic logging community, roughly 50% of the land in Forest County is federally owned, and only about 10% of the land is fully taxable. Located in Forest County, Tony's Wabeno Ready Mix is a small ready mix company that has supplied the surrounding community with concrete for more than 22 years. The company's concrete has been used to build homes, fire and rescue buildings, shops and offices, and even barns for local farmers. This small business in my district has been pursuing a land exchange with the Forest Service for the past 7 years to acquire a mere 14 acres of Forest Service land. Without this parcel, Tony's will run out of necessary aggregate and needs to produce concrete in the next 2 to 3 years. Wabeno is a small town with a population of just over 1,100. This company employs 17 hardworking people who could lose their jobs if this bill does not pass. That may not seem like much for somebody coming from a big city, but I can assure you the jobs and economic benefit provided by this small business are critically important to this rural community. That's why I introduced the Wabeno Economic Development Act of 2024, which would expedite this conveyance and ensure that Tony's stays in business for years to come. This is an important conveyance that will provide much-needed economic growth and jobs for the people in Wabeno. It has strong local support, and I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record letters of support from the Wabeno Chamber of Commerce, the Forest County Economic Development Partnership, and the Town of Wabeno. Without objection, so ordered. Unfortunately, this is not the first time this subcommittee has heard the story of a local community struggling to develop because the federal government is dragging its feet conveying land. In many instances, this process can take years before local communities have to resort to passing an entire act of Congress to get their simple land exchanges done. This is unacceptable, and we need to find ways to streamline and enhance this process. That's why I'm glad to see bipartisan legislation being considered today from Representatives Lee and Joyce that would reduce red tape that's holding up the appraisal process for land conveyances. We will also be examining 2 bills today that streamline processes for improving forest management while boosting rural economies. The Root and Stem Act, which is being led by Congressman Newhouse, promotes an innovative new model to finance forest restoration that reduces fire risk while encouraging more timber harvesting. This is truly a win-win for rural communities with fire-prone, overgrown forests, as well as for local sawmills that struggle to get a steady supply of timber from our federal lands. We will also consider the Routes Act from Representative Kim that would expedite forest restoration work after wildfires in order to reopen popular recreation sites. The outdoor recreation economy grew to $1.1 trillion this year, and the backbone of that economy is made up of the small businesses that rely on access to federal lands. When these lands are closed indefinitely due to wildfires, those businesses suffer greatly as visitors stop coming and spending money in nearby gateway communities. Representative Kim introduced this legislation in response to an overwhelming amount of feedback she received in her district about closed trails in the Cleveland National Forest. Her leadership on this issue will not only help improve recreation access in her district, but in districts across America. Both the Root and Stem Act and Routes Act remind us of an important fact. There is no amount of funding that will solve our need for greater forest management achievements. Rather, we must address the regulatory impediments and litigation hurdles preventing that work if we ever want to make meaningful progress. I'd like to thank all the members on both sides of our dais for their leadership on the bills before us today. I also want to thank all the witnesses for being here and traveling long distances to provide your expert testimony. I look forward to hearing from each of you.